Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have Q with me. He's a Navy SEAL that I recently met through Jake. Shout out to Jake. Appreciate you getting us linked up. And Jake and Nate over there doing Green Beret versus Navy SEAL. You know, like they're exchanging trade secrets, right? And I wanted to find somebody to do that with also to make sure that you guys, at least from my channel and from Q's perspective, you get both side of special operations, right? You get the Green Beret side, and also you could learn the Navy SEAL, Navy SEAL side also. So I was able to link up with Q, and hopefully we can, help the next generation of warfighters out there without knowledge. Q, if you don't mind, man, for the folks that don't know you, if you don't mind just sharing who you are and a little bit about you, and then also where can people go to get some wisdom from you, and then we'll start our discussion.
Appreciate it, Jay. Thanks for having me on the call with you, brother. For the audience out here, my name is Javon Quarles. As you see, I go as DSQ or Q, DSQ from the TV show Special Forces World's Toughest Test. If you haven't seen it, check it out on Hulu right now. It normally comes out on Fox, and then it transfers over to Hulu for everyone's viewership. A little bit about me. I'm from Washington, D.C., East Coast guy. Joined the military, did 22 years. Most of that was in the SEAL teams, and retired in 2021 with 22 years active service. Now I'm pretty much, traveling the country. I do a lot of things from speaking engagements, keynotes, team building events, leadership, mentoring. I'm a big fitness enthusiast. Of course, I have the show, Special Forces, coaching, all that kind of stuff. So I have my hands in a lot, and now working with Big J here for my first time. Jay is mentoring me in the YouTube channel space. So we're gonna get here and make this thing really blow up, and really give some stuff back to the audience, and hopefully the audience can take some stuff and relate to what we have to say. And from there, so if anyone wants to reach out to me, my YouTube channel personally is Navy SEAL Javon Quarles, and my Instagram is Javon P Quarles. But I'm here for you. Let's do it.
Gotcha. Yeah, folks, make sure you go over there and check him out. I've been on his site. I've been on his YouTube page. He's got some good stuff on there. And it's always good to see somebody else pouring into the next generation. Because to your point, you're from DC. I'm from New York. Growing up, I personally didn't have any of that, right? I was a troubled kid trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then college wasn't working out. I gravitated towards the military, and the rest was history, right? How did you get into the military, Q? Like, what made you want to serve? Because at the end of the day, we'll call a spade a spade. People from our community, they're not about the military, right? So we're like fucking unicorns out here. What made you gravitate towards the military?
Jay, to be honest with you, just like you said it, brother, my entire family was not into the military life. My entire family was not into that. My grandfather, I think he served in the army. Yeah, actually he did. But way back in the day, my grandfather was in that. So he definitely had some time there, and he also has some stuff that he had to deal with, traumatizing, traumas and all that stuff. So anyway, but for me joining and growing up, because I was born 1980, so once I got into high school down in North Carolina, which is where my grandmother moved me to, because my mother was heavily addicted to drugs, and I didn't know who my father was. So my grandmother moved me to Washington, to North Carolina. Started high school there, finished high school there, and while I was in high school, I ended up having a kid. I got someone pregnant, like in 1996. So I was still like, super young. And actually 99, so excuse me, not 1996, 1998. I'm over here tripping. And my grandmother came to me, and she was pissed. She was very pissed. My grandmother, she was the one who raised me. Of course, she loved me, right? Our grandmothers are crazy. You know how they are, Jay. I'm saying the old school grandmas. They pissed, bro. Just pissed. Disappointed was the main thing I felt from her. You know what I mean? The huge disappointment. Even in some of my aunts, I felt that from them as well. One of my aunts, she really took a interest in taking care of me growing up since I didn't have my mom. So she really tried to play that motherly role for me. And I appreciate her so much, love her so much. So I felt that disappointment. And not only did I have one kid before I graduated, I messed around, cheated on my son's mom, and got another girl pregnant, supposedly, right? I want everyone to understand this, right?
Allegedly.
This is a real thing. Allegedly. Man, I have to tell y'all all that story. We're being transparent on this call, right? We can be transparent on this call.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm gonna give it to you all real and raw from me, right? People think they see you on TV and they see you doing well financially or whatever you're doing. You have an amazing podcast, amazing show already on YouTube. So people just think you didn't go through anything, right? They just see this where we're at right now. So I went through hell, growing up, and having my son first in high school and cheating on his mom because me and his mom just didn't get along very well. Of course, we're high school kids. Cheated on her, got another girl pregnant, allegedly. So grandma was really like, okay, you're definitely going in the military. Now, my family was all against it. Like everybody in my family growing up in that time, the number one thing they all said was, you're not going in the white man's war. You're not going in the white man's military. That was the title of how growing up in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, from my family lineage down in that time. I'm sure for you as well, Jay, and a lot of the people was probably watching. And people who don't know, right? We're educating you guys now, right? But from the 1990s and down, America was not really good for Black Americans. And that is well known. So I'm not saying nothing that isn't understood, right? There was a lot of discrimination, segregation still. Martin Luther King was during that time. So let's be honest. So my family had a true reasoning for not really being excited for me going into the military. Because even back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, being Black in the military, you didn't even get access to a lot of the jobs. You know what I mean? So that's how they felt about it. But grandma was right. She was right. She wanted to make sure her grandson was in a place where he could be taken care of. And because her health was bad, she was diabetic and all that stuff. So
if you're not aware, guys, every Friday we run a podcast called the War Room Podcast. On that podcast, myself, Aaron from One's Ready, Jake, and also Nate, and then we have Ben. We all get together. We discuss military events, current military events, and then we also talk about issues that affects veteran. We also provide some self-development tips here and there. Every Friday, I will pin the link for you guys in the comment section. Go check us out over there. And then I also have Army Chronicles, where myself and my younger brother Eli, we get on there and we are teaching you guys the basic fundamentals on how to survive and succeed in the U.S. Army. Not soft related, just raw feedback from our big Army experience, do's and don'ts, things that you can do to make you successful. I will also pin Army Chronicles link to the comment section. We'll see you guys over there. You mentioned you were in North Carolina. What part of North Carolina did you move to?
My grandmother took me to this small country town, so it wasn't like I went from DC, the city, to another city. It was a small country town. Every house was on like an acre of land, and the funny thing was the entire street was like related to me, which I didn't understand or know much about prior to moving there. But that family on that strip of land down there on that street, man, we're like this. We're super close. I mean, I love my cousins. My cousin Shannon, she's out there. She's been amazing to me. Always had my support in her family. So that's where we moved to, man. It was a countryside. It was a totally different vibe, different area. School was totally different. Culture was different. Cows were here. I wasn't used to seeing cows in DC, so
yeah, because
I'm with cow smells and all that stuff.
I've been in North Carolina now since 2008. I came to the qualification course and I've been here since. So I'm out of Fayetteville, though. I'm out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, which I'm sure, having spent time in North Carolina, you're familiar with that area. It's good times down there.
I got bad memories over there, bro. I got bad memories because that is where my allegedly daughter lived at. So your area,
allegedly, guys,
is where that
you gotta protect yourself out here.
Man,
but for me,
I was flying.
I was about to say, for me,
I'm telling you,
my story wasn't as colorful with the kids. You know what I mean? For me, it was because I'm one out of 8 kids, right? So, and I'm the third oldest. So as soon as I turned 18, it was more so like, how do I get, out of the house and afford my folks some freedom so they can focus on the other kids, right? Like, I don't need to be a liability anymore. I'm 18. Technically, by U.S. standards, I'm my own man. Like, what do I need to do? So I tried college, right? I went to college for 1 semester. And, me being an immigrant, my English was horrible. I was still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to figure out the culture, right? Because, being from Haiti, even though I'm black, it's still completely different than, like a black dude from DC. It was like night and day, right? That's like, like my story is pretty similar to that of Remy, right? Remy's from Nigeria. So like I follow a lot of his stuff because I can see the parallels there. So once I realized college was going to happen, it just wasn't going to happen for me. My plan was to become a cop. So I was like, man, like, I'm going to go be a New York City cop. So I went to the police station and I started speaking with the recruiter. I was like, hey, like, like I want to be in public service. I appreciate this country. You guys have done a lot for me and my family. Like, what can I do to serve? They was like, well, if you want to be in the military or correction, if you want to be a cop, you got to have two things. You either have college degree, an associate's, or military service.
Yep.
And I was like, well, this college shit ain't working out, because it's just not for me, right? So,
right.
So I was like, well, I guess the military route it is. And then from there, I went and spoke with a recruiter, and then I was on my way. Now, you mentioned that your grandma was the one that recommended the military to you. Is it because her husband had served, or how did she know about the military and what all that entailed?
I think it was honestly, like you said, because my grandfather had served in the Army, and he was, and again, he was in the Army, though, so that was some rough stuff back in the day. And not saying, and for anyone in the Army watching, it's not saying the Army was bad in any way. That's just the wars that he had to go through, because the Army was heavily involved in the wars back in the day. So he definitely probably seen some stuff or saw how he was treated. Just internally.
Yeah.
So he had some traumas, man. He had some traumas. He was a heavy drinker. He came back, and as far as I know, because I was very young, so I didn't see him when he came back or anything like that. But just as I understand it, growing up, he was a drinker because of some of the things he had gone through, and I think that's what my grandmother decided to push me into. But she chose not the Army. She said the Navy. She went with the Navy first. Don't know why, other than I believe she just thought the Navy was the safe bet, the safest bet. Going to the Navy, you're going to be on some ships, you're going to be out in the water, you'll just be chill, you make some money, you can afford to take care of your kids. That's where you're going in the Navy, right? And when I decided to go Navy SEAL, she sure didn't like that one either. She really thought she made a mistake.
Yeah, and again, like I tell folks now that I speak with on the mentorship calls, which guys at any given time, if you're interested in doing what I'm doing, even if what you want to do what Q's doing, right? For me, you can go to greenberetchronicles.com and then just jump on a call with me. Q, if anybody has these type of questions, do they just go to your Instagram, or where can they go to? I guess speak with you if they have any like Navy SEAL type questions or mentorship type questions.
Well, I'll honestly say all three, but I'll say if I have a one-stop shop. If anyone really wants to get in contact with me and they just don't want to keep going from one to one, just go to my website, jovanquarles.com, and my links to YouTube, my links to Instagram is there. But you can also email me or contact me directly from my website. So that's
Gotcha. Yeah, because I always tell all the kids that I speak with, like, hey, make sure your mom and your dad, make sure they have buy-in, right? Because they're the ones that's going to be back home sweating bullets, like freaking losing their minds once you get deployed, or once they haven't heard from you in a while, right? So you always want to get buy-in from them, because at first they're going to be hesitant, but then once you're in it, and you graduate a certain phase and they see you up there and see how proud you are to have completed training, they're also going to be so proud of you, and they're going to talk to everybody around you. So I always tell folks to make sure that they get the buy-ins of the folks that supports and love them, right? So now initially, once you went and you started going through the process, another big thing that I realized is an issue since I started doing this was dealing with recruiters. How was that for you? Like, were you like, did you know how to talk to a Navy recruiter? Did you know the right questions to ask? Like, how was that process for you?
They were hounding me, brother. They were hounding me because when she first initiated the idea of it, I was against it.
Yeah.
Totally against it.
Now, is there a reason why? Because me, I went looking for it. So why were you against it? Is it because of the cultural stigma, or why for you?
I think it was, and that's a good question. I think it was the cultural stigma of it, right? Because I was in that, just like you know as well. You know, back from 1999 and down, just America the way they were with
Hmm.
black people, it just didn't seem like that was going to be the deal for me, and I
Yeah.
just didn't really was all about that. I saw what was the kids in ROTC. I used to laugh at them. You
Yeah.
know, there was nothing about the military
Yeah.
I was even interested in the
Hmm.
military. I mean, I was a top high school recruit, sports recruit, excuse me. So I was the played running back, wide receiver, kickoff return, punt return, DB. I graduated as senior male athlete of the year. I was very physically athletic, but I wasn't there with my GPA.
Hmm.
And my grandmother was not only right because I had the kids, but she was right because I didn't do what I was supposed to do educationally to set myself up for success when I finish high school. So then, as you know, what happens generally? We fall into that statistic of a top athletic high school prospect who doesn't go anywhere because he didn't have his grades ready. Him or her, doesn't matter.
Now,
And I wasn't there, so.
yeah, now let's unpack that a little bit because there's a lot there
Mhm,
because I don't think it stopped when you left high school. That shit is still going on. What would you say
mhm.
contributed to that? Because it wasn't the fact that you couldn't do it, because clearly you just retired as a SEAL, like you had the mental aptitude to actually do the work. What do you think
Mhm.
is what kept you, and what do you think is keeping some of these kids right now within our community from achieving not only physically but also mentally in school?
I think in today's society right now, our environment in America, we're just so in this comfort space, right?
Hmm.
Everything is about comfortability and convenience. And I think with the whole blowing up of social media and the ideas that people can just come up with and put out there and hope that this thing will be something for them, I think that's one reason why nowadays, because it was so different from us back then. We didn't have all this, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It
Yeah,
just wasn't that prevalent, right?
yeah,
So we didn't have those things to take our mind off and say, okay, I can do this and be all of this and and get this exposure here and do all of these things. So for me, it was just more so that, growing up then, what was the thing? You could be a top athlete in the black community. You could be a rapper in the
hmm,
black community. Those like the two main things, a singer, you know what I mean? You wanted to be the next Tupac growing up back then. So you didn't really pay attention to it. And you just thought that being an athlete, you will be something and you can kind of go somewhere. So you just kind of skip through school,
yeah,
not really focused on it. And I think the way we've turned today, some of that is still there for sure, but I think now it's just more so taking heed with just the idea that everything is so convenient and easy and simple, and people just want things to just fall into their lap for success, and they just kind of blow off school. And then just the narrative of what we have in school today across the country. I mean, you got people thinking everything's so bad with schools now. Kids are being brainwashed to believe this and all that, and parents are not even really pushing it as much because they're so afraid my kid is getting brainwashed to believe this and believe that. It's like, really? you know, I, I, it's just these things come out and people would just believe these conspiracies, and it's just getting really wild out there. And I
yeah.
understand. I do. I want to be sensitive to people. I do understand you don't want your kid to fall into any trap like that. But I just look at that stuff and I just say, politically, people are just using these talking points to just get your vote and just using these things as a
Absolutely.
fair
Yeah,
way to get your vote.
yeah.
Because if I walk into a school right now, I'm in Utah. If I go to a school right now, I guarantee you I would be lucky to find a teacher brainwashing the kid to think that he is bad because he was white, because his
Yeah.
ancestors were slave owners, and now
Yeah.
they're teaching white kids that you're inherently bad because you're white.
It's a
I
bunch
gotta
of
see it. I gotta
perceptions,
see it to
man.
believe that.
Like it's a bunch of like
Yeah, yeah,
misconstrued perceptions. Just like, like when you were growing up, I was growing up, we had a certain perception about the military until we got there and we're like, oh,
Mhm.
this is not what I thought it was going to be, right? It was completely different. I got ready to go to the military. Like I had a certain picture in my head as far as how things were going to go, right? Because being out of New York, like I had a chip on my shoulder almost, right? Like, hey, like I'm a thug or I'm bad and nobody can
Yeah.
mess with me. Then I got to basic training and it was like, I had to toe the line and get my life together, or else it was havoc, right? Like, was it the same for you? Like, how was basic training for you, right? Because you went, or boot camp, you guys call it in the Navy, I think. You went from, DC to North Carolina, and now you're in the Navy. How was the adjustment period for you?
Um, it was easy for the Navy for me, and I'll tell you why. Because the cool stuff you see about boot camp, basic training, you saw the cool stuff happening in the Army, in the Marines, right? Running with guns in the mud, in the rain, and all that stuff in boot camp. That was the cool stuff. You don't get none of that in the Navy boot camp or Air Force. It was pretty much boring. And I was texting. I was calling my mom, my grandmother, because remember back then, right? You had to actually get on like a payphone and call home. You didn't have cell phones to be calling home.
The phone card and everything.
Bro, I forgot about that. You so reminded me of the phone card. The phone card. People don't know. That's what we had to go through. I had to call home with a phone card, and you had to buy minutes to put on the damn thing or buy another phone card. Oh man. And then you had to ask for a moment to go and make a call. So it was totally different than what these kids have today. And so I would call my grandmother, man, I'd be like, this is boring. This is kind of depressing. I mean, we're learning the history of the Navy, which is great, right? Anytime you learn history, I think is by far the best thing everyone should know. You should know American history. So I'm learning Navy history, the rules and regulations of the military, ranking structures and all that stuff. But for the most part, we marched all over the base. I went in the summertime in Chicago, so it was blazing hot. We're marching, we're singing cadence. We had an obstacle course, Jay. Let me tell you about this obstacle course. Let me tell all of y'all about the Navy obstacle course that we went to. We marched to this hangar bay area. And as we're marching to the front entrance of this hangar bay, you can see parts of the obstacle course kind of sticking out as you're coming around the bend, so you can see everything in it. And guys like me and you, we're athletes. You were athletic, so we're seeing it one way. So as I'm coming in, we're marching in and just all hard marching. And we get there, and I can hear people in the ranks around me. People that's from all over the country, and they're just so afraid of this thing. They're afraid of this obstacle course. And it was just a jungle gym to me. That's all it was. It was like a playground, like a kid playground. I'm walking marching in, and
I love obstacle courses, man.
I'm like, what is this? And people are like, oh my God, that's gonna be hard. I'm like, what? This is a kid can do this. And so it was boot camp for the Navy was totally boring, brother.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
I'm sure it was much fun for you, right? Yours had to be much fun.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, ours was a little bit different because I went in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I went in July. No, I started in March of 2003, finished in July. So it was hot as hell down there too. But mine was a little bit different because we had what's called one station unit training, right? So my basic training and my AIT, my MOS training was all at one place. So it was just like one big stay, 16 weeks total. And for me,
so real quick, so that was all encompassing in the Army? That's how it was?
Yeah.
At the training thing at boot camp?
Yeah. So it's not like that, just certain jobs. So 11 Bravos, infantrymen, their basic training in their AIT or individual training, like their job training, it's all in one place, which is Fort Benning. For me, it was the same thing. As a combat engineer, I did basic training. I think it's the equivalent of you guys at CB. I did basic training and I did my MOS training all at one place, as opposed to some of the other ones. You go to like Fort Jackson for basic training, and then you might go to, Great Lakes for like individual training for like your specialty.
Gotcha.
Some jobs in the Army, you do it all in one place. But I remember getting there, and it was a culture shock, not because it was hard, but it was a culture shock for like other people that I was around, because some of these people really had a hard time with basic training because some of them have never been away from home. So they were like crying almost. Guys were like homesick. As opposed to me, I'm like, yo, I'm ready to be out of New York. Like I'm ready for something new, right? I just want to get out here, crush it, and then move on to the next one. So, but being there exposed me to a slew of different individuals from all walks of life, right? You had Asian dudes, white dudes, Puerto Rican, Hispanic. I was like, yo, like because again, growing up in my community, it was just, especially the Haitian community, was Haitian dudes and just black dudes, right? So being exposed to everyone else, I'm like, oh shit, okay, this is how the other half lives. Oh, okay, and then you just like the first week, you know, like we're sizing each other up, you know what I mean? Like we're still tough, you know, like you better watch your mouth, you know what I mean? Like we're acting up, and then by week 2, drill sergeants got all that out of your system, and you're starting to come together as a team, you know. By week 3, you're making friends, you know, you're learning about, oh, you're from Alabama? Tell me about Alabama. Oh, okay, cool. By week 4, week 5, dudes are inviting you. Oh, yeah, you want to come down to Alabama to meet my family? And then you're slowly becoming a team. You're slowly becoming part of it, which is what boot camp and basic training is all about. You know what I mean? Now, did you have any, did you guys beef at all whenever you were at boot camp just because of where you were from? Or was it kind of like, you know, like I'm an athlete, I've been in diverse locker room, and you just kind of melted in and just kind of, you know, like became one with everybody else in there?
Yeah, I would say the latter. I didn't have any issues with anybody in the boot camp. And then I could say even in our division, I mean, we had like, I think 200, a little over 200 people in our men in our division. So that whole hallway or birthing area was just a bunch of bunk beds and everybody was in there. Um, I don't think I recall either anyone really having much of an issue. I think we had competition physically,
Yeah.
right? There was a lot of guys there who were.
That's always good, right?
Yeah. There was a lot of guys there trying to prove themselves to be faster than this or stronger this way, do more push-ups whenever we had to do them. So there was a lot of really deep competitiveness going on, and but I think the only troublemaker we ever had during that time was a dude who just wasn't showering with everybody because he just felt. Yeah.
Hey man, hey, if you're out there, you don't like to shower with anybody, I get it. It's a hard thing to get used to, right? I think that's one thing that folks in the military or that are not in the military don't know about. It's just the lack of personal space. That shit doesn't exist. So that's one thing that really messed me up when I was in basic training. It's just the lack of like other people's awareness for your personal space.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, we all shower together. That's just not like one shower head, but we're in like open bays and dudes are taking showers and shit, right? Like that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I remember for me, like that threw me back. I was like, oh shit, I gotta go in here and shower with all these, but everybody was just going about their business. No one really gave a fuck. And then for me, dudes were just farting all over the place. Like I was like, what the fuck, man? Like there's no manners. Just no one gave a shit, you know? So that took me a while to get.
Yeah,
that took me a while to get used to, right?
Because in that tight quarters, bro, especially in the summer, it's like, bro, we in this, bro. Go to the bathroom, man. Don't be messing up everybody else's night.
Bro, like dudes didn't care at all, and that's why I was like, you know what, golly, man. But overall, though, thinking about it now, like if you had to do it all over again, would it be something that you would still do? What would you do differently? If you were speaking to like the 18, 19-year-old Q from, 1998, like what would you tell him?
I honestly would tell him still, brother. I mean, it's a good question on that one as well. I would tell him, if I could tell 1996 Q, that way he can get those grades set up from the 9th to 10th, the 11th and 12th. So he can actually try and see if he can take a hold of that dream of being in the NFL or being a professional track. Because I was also a Star Trek athlete. I won the hurdles, 110 hurdles as a senior. But from a freshman on, I was, ranked to win the 110 hurdles from a freshman on. My entire time in high school, I was that fast. And the freshman year, I just false started. The second year, I hit a hurdle, the first hurdle. So I never finished the race until my senior year. And that's when I finally won it, when I finished the race. And then I even made varsity football as a freshman. I was the only one, so the athletic version of me was there. The chance that I could make it to the pros, whether it's football or make it to the Olympics, it was there. But I didn't have it up here, right? I was only focused on the easiest thing, which is so many of us in our culture focus on. The easiest way, the easiest avenue to achieve something. And they stick to that, and they don't think about how, if you do the harder thing, that achievement, that accomplishment will be so much more impactful. You know what I mean? It will have so much more of an effect on you because you had to study a little bit more, right? And it doesn't mean that you got to do all this crazy, but you just try more, implement yourself, and I'm telling you, you would have a chance to be an NFL guy. But on the flip side of that, say if I would have made an attempt and got to college, and say the dream changed, right? Say maybe football wasn't doing well for me. Maybe say college and all that stuff changed, but I was there, right? I was to the point where I could at least continue on with that if I wanted to. I could have still came back over and became a Navy SEAL out of
Mm-hmm.
college. You know what I'm saying? So I would have had these options available to me if I would have just did what I was supposed to do in high school, not have kids in high school. That's another one. But just get those grades right. Go to college, give that an opportunity, give it a chance. And if that didn't work, still going to the SEAL teams, but probably had a degree at least and would have came in as a officer now, making even more money, having a lot more responsibility, but being in the SEAL teams as a command guy type of personality,
Mm-hmm.
right? Taking charge from the beginning, that kind of leadership right away. So that's why I say so many options we miss out on because we don't take heed here and mentally wise when we're thinking about it when we're going through school. So that's how it was for me, man. If I can go back, I would do that. And and oh, last thing I wanted to say about when we talked about boot camp, I forgot this
Yeah.
joke. I had to break it up. The kid who didn't want to shower with all of us, as you said, right? You know, it's whole bay room of just shower heads, so it's not like we're all butt naked, bumper to bumper, right? You know, showering. It was so bad. He got so bad that even the RPOC or the petty officer or the guy who's our instructor staff, think about like that for all the audiences watching. The guy who's in charge of you in boot camp. They've been in the military 10 plus years already. They're running us. They even understood how terrible this kid smelled. It was just tearing up the whole berthing. He forced him into the shower. Like he walked this kid into the shower and made him get in there. You know, he was still in his uniform, the instructor and everything, and he was just cussing them out, bro. He was, better get your ass in the shower. Come on, let's go. You're walking in the shower right now. He made this kid, and there was a bunch of butt naked dudes in the shower, and he was in there. You better not touch me. None of y'all better get close to me, and get your ass in there, get wet, and wash. Bro,
Oh
it was so
man,
funny, man.
dude,
I had to tell that story to
dude,
people know.
I remember as a squad leader, no, as a team leader in
Yeah.
Iraq. My
Mm-hmm.
second trip, I had a soldier who refused to take showers, and my squad leader made me like for like a month straight every morning go stand guard as this dude, grown ass dude, wash his ass. I was like, God damn, that shit
Oh.
was that'll forever stay with me. Like I'm standing there, you know, just watching a grown ass
Mm-hmm.
man. I'm like, oh man, this is what we're doing. But he wouldn't shower on his own at all. It was like he was afraid of water. So I'm glad to hear
See?
that it wasn't just like there's more than one dudes out there that's like that. That's wild,
Yep.
man.
Telling you. Hey, see,
That's crazy.
you had that experience too. You had it too, so you know what it's
Oh
like.
yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, folks. So this is the first segment, right? Our intent, Q and I, is to have these open conversation and just kind of share our stories with you and also give you guys some wisdom to hopefully motivate you guys watching to get to the next level. Whether that's in the military, whether that's in school, whether that's in sports, however we can be of value.
Yeah.
Just let us know, right? So this is the first one. Next week, Q will go into how you discovered special operations, because again, it's not something that we grew up. Well, hell, we grew up watching on television, but I know for me, like I didn't even think that was even a possibility, right? Because I didn't see anybody that looked like me doing it. So we'll hit that next, like why soft, how you discovered it, what motivated you to go towards that route. And then, folks, if there's anything you want us to discuss, the intent is to make this a weekly thing. Just coming on here and providing value. And of course, make sure you go follow Q on his YouTube because we're also trying to grow that. Q, any last words before we sign off?
Nah, just stay tuned. We got a lot of valuable insight that we're gonna be bringing to you guys, both on YouTube, Instagram, and I think this is something that you guys are gonna see here going on in the future. So we want to make sure we can create something for you, a space that you can ask questions, and we can give you some insight and relatability to it. So I'm excited about the future. I'm excited to work with you, Jay. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely, man. Well, folks, we appreciate you guys. And until next time, take care of yourself.